Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and today we're going to be talking about relic levels and where to stop your relics, and we're going to go from all the way at the start of your account down to you have every single galactic legend. Where do you stop these ancillary relics? It's pretty easy to figure out where you want to stop relics on characters that are required for the journey guide. Hey, I need to get Oppo and CX2 to Relic 5. Hey, I need to take, BT1, Trip 0, and these guys to Relic 5 for Dr. Aphra. Oh, you know what? I'm going for Bo-Katan Mandalore. I need everybody Relic 7. And flip over to your Galactic Legends and it's the same story. You know what relic levels to stop at because it tells you in the journey guide. And you want to use this as your barometer of where to take that character to. We kind of stick to the journey guide. That is the Fat Phil philosophy, is stick to the journey guide. But what about characters that aren't inside of the journey guide? Do you just ignore them? Absolutely not. I have a design plan of where I took characters, what relic levels I put on them, and so much of that was based around where I was in the game, and I kind of naturally found these, and so I'm going to kind of give you the frameworks for how I would be spending relics, particularly when they're not in the journey guide. If they're in the journey guide, you follow that. But what about outside of that? Where do we invest our resources into? So go ahead, please like and subscribe. Let's give a shout out to our channel members. As always, if you're ever interested, y'all know where that link is. It's down below, a long link to our Discord server. Go check it out. Discord, there's a lot of really good stuff going on there. I really appreciate you guys just keeping the faith, believing in me. You guys are honestly the best part of this community. Like, I log in and I, seeing you guys in the Discord interacting, whether it's in a DM and our members only in the general sections, you guys are awesome. It's a lot of fun seeing it. So I really appreciate you guys just, being a part of this fat family. It's awesome. So let's get in here and let's talk about some relic levels. All right, folks. So we got to start at the beginning. Listen, if you're following along in the Fat Phil farming guide, you do not want to equip any relics before Executor, meaning until you get every single one of the requirements for the Executor at their appropriate relic levels, which, again, they're all listed in here. Until you have these relics equipped, I'm going to tell you do not equip any other relics. These need to be the first relics you do. You do not want to put yourself behind on your first major farm. This is one of the most important things that I can tell you. You want to get that Executor as fast as possible. So you're going to stop at gear 11 and honestly avoid any Kairatech characters like these guys up here. You want to avoid equipping any of their Kairatechs. You want to avoid equipping that stuff because it's just not worth it, okay? Do not be like Fat Phil where I'm going in and equipping, stuff. Keep these guys lower. It's not worth it at the stage of your account that you're in. It's better just to wait, right? So, don't be like Fat Phil here. Obviously, I'm in a very different stage of the game. So, before Executor, none. Once you get your Executor, and again, following the Fat Phil guide, kind of leading up to Jabba, we can start to utilize Relic 1. And I don't have any Relic 1s, but this is where you can start to utilize some of those Relic 1s. What I will say here, bear in mind that this is, whether you're like, oh, well, what if I'm not going for Executor and what if I'm not going for Jabba? Then think of it as your first and second major farms. And your major farms, again, for anybody new on the channel, your major farms are these things down here. It's one of your capital ships or a galactic legend. Those are your major farms. Nothing else is considered major outside of your GL ships and your galactic legends. Everything else is a minor farm and does not apply. So when you're going up to that second major farm, we can begin to maybe equip Relic 1. You've got your first major thing. You've got whatever the resources and rewards that it's going to be, providing to you. And so we can begin to maybe do some Relic 1s. Now, these would obviously be on characters that are important, not the ones that I've listed there. Maybe it's like your Sith Triumvirate that you're getting to Relic 1, or the Commander Luke Skywalker team. You're building into Jabba. You've got a bunch of the Commander Luke Skywalker characters. They're not all needed for Jabba, so we at least take them to Relic 1. That's a good holding place for me, in my opinion. Relic 1 just kind of gets your foot in the door. Until you get that second major farm done, I would avoid going much beyond Relic 1. The reason for that really comes down to resources. You don't have the resources available to you that going above Relic 1 on a lot of stuff, you'll end up just, delaying your timing on your farms, and it will cause more problems than it will do good for you. So then, once you get to around 6 million galactic power, again, give or take, right? But I would say call it 6 million galactic power. This is when you can kind of switch into this Relic 1 to Relic 3. Meaning, Relic 1 is still perfectly okay, but we can start to get to Relic 3 a little bit, right? So you hit that 6 million point, I should say, you know, like, once at 6 million, we can start to use some Relic 1s and then go up to Relic 3s for these characters where they're, you know, they're good, they're not great. Again, your Sith Triumvirate would fit here. I've got, like, your Iden team or, you know, your Dark Side Mandalorians that I just, you know, I've had these guys. They're a very good team. No Zeta, you know, do some good stuff. Relic 1 to Relic 3 is perfectly okay once you're at about 6 million. 6 million is normally a good threshold for a lot of players. You're probably beyond that second major farm. You're beginning to get a little bit more serious. You have some good income, so you can start to stomach maybe getting up to the Relic 3s. However, with your big ticket characters, your Star Killers, your Malicos, Commander Tano, Ben Solo, if you're in the Proving Grounds, you know, whatever else, this level of character, we can have that conversation of Relic 5s. I think Relic 5 for these characters around this GP is a good decision. I think it will benefit your account significantly. I don't know that Relic 7 is as beneficial simply because you still have a lot of farming to do that spending those signal data, those relic materials could potentially put you in a really bad spot. So I would just, you know, encourage some Relic 5s for a little bit. Kind of let your account naturally get to that point where Relic 7 begins to be more of that conversation, right? So again, and we're using GP thresholds, which I don't always love, but I think the spirit of it is 6 million to me is that level of player where Conquest, you know, hard mode Conquest, you're actually going for some of the feats. You know, you should be able, again, barring that you're not just somebody who's like a light speed bundle warrior, you've probably built a solid enough account by 6 million that Relic 3 kind of becomes necessary for you to get to some of those Conquest feats, especially in the later stages. And then obviously Relic 5s on these key characters, you know, makes sense. Now, from your 6 million, as you're like in the 6 million to 10 million range, right? And again, here, like once you're at 6 million, that's when that conversation begins to happen. And then as you're getting closer to 10 million, you know, in this range, we start having the conversation of, hey, you know, we need to start introducing everybody to Relic 3 and potentially start doing some Relic 5s. And you guys can see I still have Grief and Mando at Relic 3, and then I've got these characters at Relic 5. It's just one of those areas where ask yourself what team they're going into. Are these characters going into a Galactic Legend level team, or are they just going into something on the side? And that can kind of help you figure out Relic 3 to 5. The other thing I would say too with Relic 3s, think about how often you're going to get to use that. For my Mando and Grief, that was something where I wasn't always using Bounty Hunters, so I didn't feel like going higher. Where Moff Gideon and Dark Trooper, I don't use anymore, but I was using them everywhere all the time, so they moved up. Then with those units like Malicos, Starkiller, you know, and I just threw Balin here, but you get the concept. Relic 7s begin to become the conversation starter there. At that point, your account's in the spot it needs to be where Relic 7 should be happening for those guys. You're probably facing some higher level teams, higher caliber stuff, and you need the firepower on all of your units and obviously in those top tier things. So, and again, you can kind of see it flowing like this. As you get closer to 10 million, this is where these things really start cropping up. Like, you just hit 6 million, don't worry about, okay, I got to Relic 7 these characters right away. But hey, I'm getting to that 9 million range and I've still got a Relic 5 Starkiller. Maybe it's time to bump it up a little bit. And that way, you're kind of keeping your account ahead of the game, that you don't get to, you know, 11 million GP and your Starkiller can't beat Rey because he's not high enough for Relics. This is one of those areas that I feel like I really slowly progressed my account along with, and I saw a lot of benefit from it. Trying to get you there a little bit sooner than I did with some of these things. But that's kind of the range of where I'm using Relic 3 to 5. Now, once you hit 10 million and you're getting, before you get to all your Galactic Legends unlocked and everything else, I'd say Relic 5 kind of becomes the norm. That you kind of have to go to Relic 5, or else it's gonna, fail you in Conquest. That's your level 9 Datacron kind of stuff. The other thing to think about there as well is, this is where, I'd say, some of my Relic 3 characters, I take them in certain fights, and they just can't do enough damage. They don't have enough survivability against these higher Relic teams. And so by the time you get to 10 million, you really need to have that conversation with yourself that it's time to start bumping up some Relic levels to 5. That's just a general use at that point. You think that's just getting you in the door to Rise of the Empire territory battles. In the grand scheme of things, Relic 5 is still very early on. And so you hit that 10 million range, we got to start turning that leaf and start making Relic 5 a much more common thing. Otherwise, you're just going to see where your account is lagging behind in a lot of areas, and that could potentially cost you wins in GAC or Territory Wars. Your ships won't be as good. There's a lot of stuff that flow through those relics that you just kind of need. So, once you get all of your Galactic Legends, this is where Relic 7 just kind of makes sense, right? You're going to start Relic 7 on everything because that's what you do, right? There's nothing else to do. Relic 7's kind of become the norm. For example, Jocasta for me, I knew that was going to be a Relic 7 almost as soon as I got her, right? That's not even, I don't even question that. And again, these guys will eventually get there as well. I've got a lot of relics that we've got to do. And then your extra relics start going on those, GL level teams, start going into your really heavily invested Omicron teams. That's where you're going to start throwing your additional relic levels. You don't want to start throwing the additional relic levels onto your Afra team, right? I'm going to get Afra to Relic 8 because reasons. You want to spend them here where they're going to be going into those, Galactic Legends. Once you have, those teams, once you have all your GLs, you really get a lot more freedom with your resources and get to kind of expand stuff. Before this, I can tell you I was not interacting with Relic 8 and Relic 9 beyond Galactic Legend requirements, and I'm really grateful for it because I was able to unlock a lot of stuff. I beat a lot of accounts over the years where they had a lot of Relic 8 GLs, but they were missing one that I had. And I'd win those fights simply because your relics can mean, don't mean as much. One, because I'm just going to bring a counter, but two, because I have an extra team in the back that you don't have that you've got to figure out how to beat. So following this guide, guys, following this kind of framework, I feel you'll be a lot more successful long term. And by the time that you are ready for these relic boosts, you'll be ready. That you're going from, Relic 1 to Relic 3 to Relic 5. And you wonder, Phil, why those relics? Why don't you mention 2 and 4 and 6? Because those are the redheaded stepchildren of relic levels. No, that's so bad. But, to a degree, Relic 1 at least gets the first level, and again, I know you guys all hate these things, but it's the truth. When you have your Datacrons, you need Relic 1s to get to the first 3 levels of Datacrons. You need Relic 3s to get to the next, 5 levels. And then for the actual level 9, you need a Relic 5. So the idea being that, alright, at least by the time that you're in that 6 million range, you can start really using Datacrons, right? That you can really start ramping up your Datacrons in this range, start to use them, and then maybe you've got a couple of those Relic 5s on level 9s, even if they're not one of these type characters. Maybe Stormtrooper gets a really good level 9 Datacron. You like investing in Datacron, so you equip it. That's kind of why we're following this 3 and 5. And then why we skip 6. 6 is kind of a rough one for me. I just feel like Relic 6 is actually, I should be a lot kinder because, I have some Relic 6s. I've got way more of them than I'd care to admit. And, it's not many, and I still have, the thing with Relic 6 is that it's kind of this, it's always been known, especially for a long time, was known as the you were going up to 7 and you got sidetracked. And that's legitimately what mine is. Here's what I'll say. Relic 6 is actually still, I'd argue, very free-to-play friendly. because you can earn the materials for Relic 6. Like, to get to Relic 6, you can earn all of those materials in assault battles. Like, and I should say in the legacy assault battles, right? If I go to these legacy assault battles here, you get up to, you get your blue, your green, your white signal data, and then you get up to Electrum conductors. So you can earn the materials you need to get to Relic 6. So Relic 6 is actually very free-to-play friendly because of those battles. However, it's kind of one of those things where a lot of us will say, why have a Relic 6 when you can have a Relic 7? Obviously, like, I've had Relic 6s. I have used them. They're perfectly fine. I just like sticking to that, 1, 3, 5, 7, simply because it rolls a little bit easier off the tongue, and it doesn't make this as convoluted of where to figure out, when to Relic 6 a character. But you can use Relic 6. It's a very good tactic, because listen, at the end of the day, a Relic 6 character is better than a Relic 5 character. You're going to get more mastery. You're going to get more stats. So don't think that Relic 6, just because I'm, bashing on it, that it's something that is completely worthless and you should never do. Your mastery level is still higher, right? My mastery level on Embo is 35. He's got, the health, extra critical damage and stuff. And you compare that to, say, one of these characters, mastery's lower, the health, everything else, all those stats are lower because they're only Relic 5. So yes, Relic 6 is still better. Very free-to-play friendly, just I don't encourage it as much because it doesn't sound as nice for this video, right? Thought I'd at least mention it. And then eventually getting to your Relic 7, and then extra Relic levels. Listen, I don't want to get crazy into this is Relic 8, and this is Relic 9, and this is... You will learn that, and by the time that this video applies to you, you will have already figured out your Relic 8s and 9s, or you're so starved for them that you need a whole other concept entirely of how to, recreate your droid brains that you wasted. So I do hope this video helps you guys understand how I view relics and how I try to, how I've progressed my account. I think this is the way to do it, especially when the game is constantly changing with these raids and other things. You don't want to be over-investing your resources into something that isn't going to benefit you in more ways than just a good team, right? I've seen a lot of players who went crazy on relic levels and it come back to bite them. One of the best examples I always use, I always pick on my guys in my Fleet Arena Shard, but it's the truth. There's a lot of these players who had accounts that were very similar to mine. Where they were very good players. They just, over-invested in relic levels, and then I ended up, completely outstripping them. Another, it's unfortunate, there's this one guy that I used to play with. Used to play Star Wars Galaxy Fears together. He was in my Arena Shard. Let me see if I can find him here. I think I'm still friends. Yeah, Silas here, this guy. Silas was a really great player. He liked to invest extra relic levels into characters. Right, he went, crazy with some Relic 8s. And for a little bit there, I would say he had a much better account than me because he had extra Relic levels on his Sith Eternal. He had a really good armor. Where's his armor at? I think he still has a really good mods on her somewhere. Where's she at? Yeah, like Relic 7 armor, really fast. He was using her with Sith Eternal, climbing on Jedi Master Kenobis. He'd invested all these relics into that team. While he was doing that, I was building JML. And then I got my JML, I was climbing, started building Kenobi while he's still investing relics into his Sith Eternal team. And it just kind of grew to this point where by the time that he got here, I think I was already in Jabba and on my way to something. I mean, I had a lot more stuff, and it was simply because I think he had invested a lot of extra materials into characters at, 10 million GP here that he probably shouldn't have. And this was a very good player. Like, he was very good, a really good guy. But unfortunately, I think he went a little bit too much into the Relic 7s and Relic 8s before it was really feasible. And because of that, he ended up, falling behind. And so I did want to use that example. Sorry to pick on him, but he no longer plays. Silas, if you're somehow watching this, shout out, man. I miss you. But that's it, guys. I hope that helps. Please like, subscribe, comment. I love you all. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.